Good afternoon. It's George Foley here from Dream Big Start Small Foundation. My guest today is Mr. Oupa Coetzee from Nando's. Nando started in 1987 when Robert Brosen and Fernando Duarte bought chicken land in Rosettenville and was so impressed with the recipe that they decided to board it. Today you are one of 340 franchises in South Africa, and if I'm correct, about 1,200 outlets worldwide.
Correct, yes.
Please tell us your story, your success story as a franchise holder in the Nando setup.
Although we have 330 outlets in the country, some of them are owned by the group Nando's and others are owned by franchises, like myself. Some of the franchises are in partnership with other franchises, so let's say there's 150 franchises, although maybe there might only be 60 actually franchise holders, because it's stronger as partnerships, as together we think alike, we share information, we share plans, we share problems, and that's why a franchise, I believe, is fairly successful. But that process is driven a lot by our head office, but also driven by the guys on the floor. My story started a long time ago. I was involved in another a business, a water sport business that was in Bloemfontein, and the economy changed a bit. I went through a tough time, and the opportunity came through a friend of mine that was a manager in a store in Bloemfontein, and he said, do I want to help them out as a cashier at those stage? That was March 1993. I helped them out obviously because I was in dire straits. I needed some income, and I helped them, and after about 6 weeks or a month, an opportunity arose that one of the managers in that stage resigned. The owner at that stage, who was a pharmacist in Welkom, Roland Di Pasquale, asked me, or he did an interview with me and says, okay, right, you've been here as a cashier, are you interested in a manager's job? And I said, sure, because I didn't want to sound too desperate, but I was desperate actually. And I think end of March, maybe April, I started formally as an employee with Nando's as a manager. Sometime later, the guys who were managers in that stage, about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year, 15 months maybe, they had other opportunities arose in their lives, and Roland asked me, okay, he didn't ask me, there was just no other option. Yeah, I was the only manager left with one or two other assistants, and so I was suddenly thrown in the deep end to do things I didn't even know. So those days we had a fax machine. I phoned Roland and said, listen, every night if something happened, I will write you a fax and you must tell me what to do in what situation. Because I might not know what to do. And he told me one thing that will stay with me till today. He says, if you don't do anything, you won't do anything wrong. If you do something wrong, it means you attempted to solve a problem or do something. So don't be afraid to do stuff. And that gave me some confidence that this guy says, do what you think you have to do, because you are busy solving problems, and only you can solve the problem in that situation. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. We're all going to make mistakes. And even in the Nando's environment, that was how we grew up. The Bloemfontein store at that stage was, I think, number 28. 28 of a group that is now 1,300. And I sometimes think, I put myself in the situation, I was very grateful for the opportunity to get that, because I did not know Nando's is going to grow to 1,300. And I think sometimes what would have happened if the people that had started with Henry Ford did not want to start with Henry Ford, and they say, this funny noise-making machine is not for me. I don't know the guy's name. There was a guy that was a partner with Steve Jobs that started Apple with Steve Wozniak, and he was one of the founding partners. And I don't know the exact figures, but after a period of time, he decided to sell his partnership. Let's say it was $800 or $8,000, and he sold that partnership for an amount. Let's say it's $100,000, which in today's terms that would be billions. Because sometimes we are short-sighted in opportunities that are already in our lap. We must just. My uncle, he's already passed away, he told his children, and in the family when he passed away, they used a saying, "Skouer aan die wiel sit." You can't go on holiday if you haven't done skouer aan die wiel. You can't leave, you can't do anything if you haven't done the basic. Another friend of mine has got a business in Bloemfontein, and he believes you can't go to bed as your tafel nie skoon is. If your table isn't clean, you can't go and sleep because you still have some things to do. In any case, put a long story short, I started as a manager, stayed as a manager for quite a few years. Nando's franchise, when I started with Nando's didn't have an outright franchise, it was a joint venture partnership. The owner, Fernando Duarte, not Fernando Duarte, Roland Di Pasquale, who was the owner, he had a partnership in Welkom with Nando's, and he also started Vereniging in Van der Bijl, Harry Smith, Welkom, and he only had 49%, which Nando's had 51%. So Nando's always had was the bigger shareholder, the controlling shareholder. And then after about 95, around about 95, I'm not sure of the details, Nando's decided to buy out those guys and give them the 49% share in actual shares. And Nando's was the overall shareholder. And that went on for about 4 years. Then Nando's decided, let's give the guys who are in the stores the opportunity to be full franchise holders. In other words, 100% franchise holder. There was other opportunities as well in a joint venture partnership. You 50%, Nando's 50%. Because Nando's knew there were guys who wanted to be involved but didn't have the funds to be involved, and that's why they made them joint venture partners. And that went on until about 1999, and somehow through things that happened in the country and things that happened in different areas, different stores, there was a store where I'm now in the Klerksdorp area. There was an opportunity, and because I did my share of hard graft and I did what I needed to do, they asked me, listen, are you interested in this store? And I said yes, and we went through a bit of discussion, and my wife was in the health industry, and there was a new hospital in Klerksdorp, this area, and an opportunity for her arose as well, although she was just also a worker. We moved here, and although I didn't have any funds to buy the franchise, we came here and we had to do what we had to do. And we had an agreement with Nando's that there will be an amount deducted out of the turnover of the store to fund the store, the money that I owed them. And that was 2001. Then the city mall where the store was then, we had a visit from our head office, and they said, no, I must revamp the store. And the revamp, in other words, to change it as Nando's looked like then, that went on for about 8 years that they had the store. They said, okay, now you must build it as a new store, but that was a lot of money, which I did not have. And so I went to the owners of the shopping centre and I said, listen, I have to revamp the store. Is there any chance that I can extend or expand the store that I have right now? And the guy said, no, that's not a problem, because we're going to revamp the whole shopping centre. But that meant I had to move where I were. And that put a whole lot of new complications in the matter, because where I was at a good entrance, and I would have to move a bit further away from the centre of town, although still centre of town. So complications arose, and the opportunity, I was put into the situation that I needed somebody to assist me financially to grow the store as Nando's wanted, and also open another store in the town. I had certain ideas where I think we could open a new store. Head office came down, they agreed, they thought it's a good opportunity. We just had a few discussions. I had a few discussions with another partner, which was in Krugersdorp. Nicholas Sargo is the guy. He had a store in Krugersdorp. We discussed, we made an agreement that we were 50% partners, and so we opened up another store in this northern suburbs, and we had a new store in City Mall. And I wouldn't say I won't look back, but it was a lot of effort to work and prove yourself, because there was no other option. Either you have nothing or you put in the hours. When I was in Bloemfontein, I had to train managers, and we spoke about it previously, that you have guys that you recognize to work for you. You have to train them as managers. You pick them up in the township where they live, 7 o'clock in the morning. You train them the whole day, 12 o'clock that night, 1 o'clock that night, you take them home to their house in the township. You get home 2 o'clock, you sleep. Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, you pick them up again. It wasn't fun for them, it wasn't fun for me, but that was the way to offer them an opportunity, because you know their personalities, you know their habits, and you're prepared to work for that. They know you with all your in Afrikaans they say your nikker, because it wasn't easy those days, because you learn from and you work from that you don't really know a lot of things, and you're under pressure. So sometimes you're not very kind, sometimes you are rude, sometimes you are forceful, but you did not know any other way, because you had to make it work. And that's the story, basically, for 20 years ago.
Amazing.
Years ago, yeah.
It's an amazing story, Oupa. We all will agree that we are currently in tough economic times. What will your advice be for a person who wants to start his own business? Do you think it's a good time to start a business?
I don't think there's ever a perfect time. I think people, even in our own town, people, you see new businesses open. I don't think it's a bad time. I just think the same principles that were applied or applicable 200 years ago. It wasn't a good time for Noah to build an ark. But he had to do it. He had to do day after day after day. The same with, we spoke this now about the Ford Motor Company. The same with Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak with Apple. The same with apparently, or I'm not sure. Apparently today was the birthday of Steve Jobs,
Yes.
and Windows as well. And what is quite strange, if you think of that, Steve Jobs borrowed money from Windows to build on with his own, although they are opposition. It's not bad to talk to your enemies, because we are all in the same business and we learn from each other. So I wouldn't say it's a bad time. I just think you must not take life easy. Don't work on a tight budget. Do what you have to do. Don't live above your means. It's not a bad time for business, I think. Although it's not an easy time, but there's not a lot of people that want to take the opportunity. And if you take the opportunity and you put your hours and your time in, I believe, and you believe, I think God is always there. There are a lot of opportunities. God is graceful. I think there are possibilities in our country, in any country. Although there are, if you think of 2 years ago when COVID came, we all thought it's a tough time, and then delivery started. And now food deliveries are better and bigger than it was ever before. And it was opportunities that guys saw. Listen, it's tough times, but there's an opportunity. I have guys working for me, delivery guys, that buy their own motorbikes, that are working for themselves and earning 1,000 rand a day. Some, not all of them earn 1,000 rand a day, but if he wants to do deliveries, he can earn 1,000 rand a day. And in 4 or 5 years' time, maybe he can employ guys working for him if he's prepared to put in the hours. Because we all, if somebody comes to us with questions and ideas, I think we're all prepared to help another guy. Starting in a business, if he's honest with himself, if he's honest with us. Sorry, I'm stuttering a bit.
And then lastly, maybe, what advice will you give a new entrepreneur with his new startup? What advice can you provide?
Ask people questions. If you don't want to employ people, but ask other guys questions. Find people that you can trust, and be open with them. If you wanna open another chicken business, and you come to me or you come to KFC, we all will respect your idea. We will all respect your dreams. And I'm friends with a lot of other restaurant owners in Clarksdorp, and we're all in the same game. We all know what they do. Just it's an old principle. Surround yourself with good people, and it doesn't have to be people in your own game. Surround yourself with an auditor or somebody that knows that game. They might not all have the same ideas, but the basics is still the same. I would say surround yourself with a good auditor, the guys that know, or a bank manager. A bank manager, the worst feeling that I think maybe you and my feeling is to go to a banker or a bank manager and ask for a loan because you feel humiliated. But if you're honest with them and honest with yourself, they will give you good advice, or they'll give you some advice, and you can play with that advice. Is that what you want to do? It's not always a good thing to loan money, because there are people that will loan you money, but they will make you work for it, and they will maybe like thinking of an opportunity to actually get your business. But ask questions, surround yourself with good people, and think. Be street smart. It's easier to said than done, but ask questions. Ask questions. Why? Don't be ignorant. Look around and ask a lot of questions before you do anything. That's what I would do. Don't waste your money. It's somebody, I think Warren Buffett said the other day, or somebody in the financial business said, if you put your money in the bank, and what does the bank do with your money? They loan it to somebody else that wants money. And that guy that loans the money from the bank, he's actually starting his own business. And in 2 years' time, he does not need the loan from the bank anymore. So it's not just a good thing to save your money in the bank, because the bank uses that money. Think what you can do. There's opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities. Sometimes there's a lot of opportunities that wash through my head, and I think you can do this, you can do that. But you need energy. You need commitment to yourself. You need commitment to your family. Surround yourself with good family, knowledgeable people. That's what I would ask questions. Surround yourself with good people.
Oupa Coetzee from Nando's Clarkston. Thank you.
Yeah. My name Oupa is. I was born bald when I was 21 years old. A lot of people, when I had a hat on the other day, somebody said, "Now, where's the name Oupa come from?" I said, I was 21 years old at university and I was bald. So,
Thank you.
Thanks very much.